Thank you in advance for presenting at the first ever NEAFCS Virtual Annual Session. Please take a few moments to watch this video prior to completing your speaker practice session. We highly recommend that each presentation have an assigned moderator. You should have already received the request to assign someone from your team or notify the national office if you need a volunteer. If you have not completed this task, please reach out to us as soon as possible. The moderator is there to ensure the chat is being monitored, to share questions with speakers, and to administer any polls. All presentations must be presented live. Concurrent sessions should run the full 45 minutes. We recommend that you set your presentation to 30 to 35 minutes and allow for 10 minutes for questions and answers. Ignite sessions should run the full 15 minutes. We recommend setting your presentation to 10 to 12 minutes to allow a minute to start your broadcast and a minute or two to close. Documents that you want made available to attendees during your presentation or for download post-presentation should be emailed to wferguson@executiveoffice.org by August 26th. If you have not done so already, make sure to review your speaker how-to document and expectation document on the NEAFCS Annual Session website and participate in a practice run. Each speaker is set up in the virtual platform Excel Events. You should have received an email from Excel Events with your presentation name, date, and time in the subject line and a link to your talk. If you did not receive this, please notify the national office. Here's what your email will look like. So, this is the email that you will receive that includes what looks like an invitation for your calendar, which you can easily add to your calendar to make the whole process smoother. You have two links you can click on. The first one will take you to every talk that you're currently registered for, and the second link will take you to the specific session that this one is announcing for you. So let's go ahead and click on My Talks so you can take a look at what that looks like. Now, since this is just a test session, you'll see that I'm only registered for one session at this time. If you are only presenting one session, you will also only have one session here. However, if you are presenting multiple sessions, they will all be visible here. So you can see the date and time on the left-hand side, the name of the session, that it's a breakout session, and that myself and Danielle Jessup are on here as speakers. The important button you want to look for is this blue Start Your Talk button. So you're going to click on that. And that's going to take you, it's going to bring up your settings for your webcam, microphone, and speakers. This is going to be an area where you're going to need to be very sure of your particular setup, and you may have some technical questions or issues with this. You may need to reach out to an IT person and have them help you determine your best camera, speakers, and microphone. Now on this one, you can see there's my webcam. I've got my Outlook set to my headphones and my speaker is set to my Yeti mic. You can test that it's picking up your voice with these this scale here. So no one can hear you or see you yet. So take a moment, make sure you've chosen the proper settings. And then you can also either turn your video off using the slide button or turn it on. Go ahead and click Join Call once you've made sure those settings are correct. Now, this is the backstage behind the scenes. Right now, as long as this green Start Broadcast button has not been pushed, no one can actually see you or your team. Now, it's very important at this time that you ensure that you have turned off all other programs. You don't want to have anything else running that could slow down your machine, slow down your connection, or that might make a sound or a pop-up notification in the background. You want to ensure that there's nothing in the area that can be seen on your video that is distracting or that you wouldn't want the whole world to see. And just remember that at different times when you're sharing your screen or other files that you're going to be sharing for your presentation, your desktop may or may not become visible. So ensure that you have a clean background and everything else closed. Now from here, you can see my name is down here since I'm the speaker. If you have multiple team members on here and you're all using your video, we'll cut it into different squares. So if you're in a team, you will all have the opportunity, you'll have the green button that says Start Broadcast. It's very important that you decide amongst yourselves who's going to be the one to press that button. Because once you press that button, the system is going to begin recording you, and then it's going to begin broadcasting that to all of the attendees who are in your session. So make sure you're ready and make sure you don't do anything you don't want the world to see once you click the Start Broadcast button. Let's go ahead and click it and see what happens. So this is the status bar. It's recording. Don't let it fool you. Now we're live. So when someone logs into your session, even if they're a few minutes late, it's going to backtrack a few seconds in the recorded video, kind of buffer them in. So they're going to come into your session wherever you're at. You're seeing my screen. You're seeing the video full screen right now because of the fact that I'm not sharing my screen yet. So over here on the right-hand side, let's take a look at what you can see, okay? You've got who you are, if you weren't sure. You've got the chat. You've got a poll section, people section, and a Q&A. So the Q&A can be accessed by your attendees. This is where they can add questions that you and your moderators will be able to see. That's why it's important to choose a moderator so they can help make sure you, as the speaker, are seeing all the questions that need to be answered. Under polls, you can quickly add a poll by clicking Add Poll. Type your question, tell if it's multiple choice or single choice, enter in your answers. You can add answers over here, and you can choose whether to share those results with the users or not. Click Save, and you can launch your poll. In the chat, attendees would be able to chat with each other. They can also attempt to chat with you. If you are using a full screen presentation, which most of you will be doing, it is going to be difficult. So we can't reiterate enough. Choose a moderator who's comfortable keeping an eye on the screen and relaying information to you. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen is where we have all of our controls. The first one is our microphone. It's telling us the microphone is on. You can just click it to turn it on or to turn it off. And as you can see, the screen will tell you. The second one is the camera. Same thing. You can turn it off, and then it defaults to your picture. Notice how when I speak, it lights up yellow. And when I don't speak, it reflects back white. This will help indicate what speaker is speaking when. So again, you can see that is the image that I uploaded into my profile. Then we have a share screen, which we'll get back to in just a second. We have an attendees button. That's going to show you who's actually in here. Of course, there's nobody in here right now. You may be wondering, well, what's the people that we looked at before? Those people are people that have to do with the behind the scenes, backstage, speaker aspect. The attendees are who's in your actual session. So all I've done is minimize that. You see this little blue button? I can just expand it again and again. There's a lot of different channels that we have here, but let's not get lost in that, okay? Let's continue to look at this. So we have share screen, which we're going to come back to. I've shown you the attendees. And then we have our settings button, which these are the same settings we set before we logged in. It's good that you know these are here in case you accidentally chose the wrong setting. You can certainly change it before you start broadcast, which is what you should do, but you can also change it on the fly. Don't be afraid to do that. And then the last button is this phone button, which is end, which I'm not going to press because it would end our presentation. So let's go to our share screen. You have two options. You can share your screen or you can share a file. We're going to recommend that you use share screen. It is the one that is probably more familiar to everyone who's utilized Zoom or other platforms in the past. So I can choose to share my entire screen, share an application window, or even share a particular Chrome tab. So here, if I choose this, we could go back to that test email that I showed you. We also have the Excel Event Studio and all those others. So I'm going to go back to the entire screen, and I'm going to choose application window. For instance, we do recommend that you use the application window and go ahead and choose your PowerPoint presentation, or if you're running a video you want to share, or a PDF, or whatever it is that your presentation is in. We're going to use a PowerPoint today because there's a good chance that that's what you're going to be using. So you choose the window you're going to share and you click Share. So, of course, this is the application, and I would just need to put my slideshow into presentation mode. So you're going to have a speaker walkthrough and you're going to test all of this. And it is important that if you are utilizing dual monitors, that during this test presentation, you are assured which monitor you need to be displaying your presentation on. So at this point, I'm showing a full screen. And that means I can't see my own video, face, or anything else. All I can see is my presentation. However, the attendees will continue, if you are sharing your video, it will continue to share a cameo shot of your video in the upper left-hand side of the screen. Please take that into consideration when you are designing PowerPoints or whatever it is you're showing, that the upper left-hand quadrant of your presentation could be covered up in part by your video. So then you would just, as normal with any PowerPoint presentation, go through your presentation slides until you reach the end, and then you can simply stay on a questions and answers screen, or you can close it out altogether and come back to a full screen view and your fellow presenters. It's up to you how you want to do that. So this is a very simple walkthrough utilizing a PowerPoint. Again, you can also share any part of your screen in order to show that presentation. Now, during your presentation, only the lead presenter will be present, but it is very important that you share all of this information that you learn with the walkthrough with your entire team member or your entire team so that they can be prepared, okay? So once you've reached the end of your presentation, then you will simply click this Stop Broadcast button. Once we do that, it is going to end your presentation altogether, and that will be the end of your session, and you will be all finished. So we certainly encourage you to contact us here at the NEAFCS office if you have any additional questions or concerns leading up to selecting your training session and your moderators and anything like that that you have questions about. All right. Well, thank you for agreeing to be a presenter, and we look forward to your presentation.